Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Imagine with me the moment the Democrats find out that they've been lied to. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Guess what, folks? Many Democrats have already experienced this tragedy, this trauma. They've watched as the party they've supported for decades has eroded into a secret society of elitists. We talk of the New World Order, the Bilderbergs, and people like that all the time. And it used to be this big conspiracy theory. We now see that theory playing out. We are watching as elitists rewrite the rules. Barack Obama said many times there are not two justice systems in America, and he's proven multiple times in his crooked administration that there is definitely two-tier justice. There's not a person on this planet, certainly not in this country, who doesn't believe that Hillary Clinton should be in prison, that James Comey should be in prison, that Susan Rice should be in prison, perhaps even the former president of the United States should be in prison. Many people have played into the cabal, the secret society that exists in Washington, D.C., something that we now know as the swamp, because Donald Trump called it that when he said, I'm going to go to D.C. and drain the swamp. And many of us didn't believe it. We thought, nah, it's not really as big of a cesspool as we thought. We believed, even with all of the evidence that we'd seen, with all of the things, the observational things that, that we could put together in our own minds, the logic of it all, we still didn't realize how big, how deep, how wide the swamp was. There's hardly a conservative that looked at the FBI and said, this thing goes from Comey to McCabe to Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and on down the line. Jim Ray, perhaps, Mueller, and all the people across the board. It doesn't matter how far wide you go and how deep you go. D.C. is proving every single day the number of minions that are working, folks, against you, against conservatism, against America. There's a saying, the better the information it has, the better democracy works. Silence and secrecy are never good for it. I'll ask you this. Let's take it out of the macro and put it into the micro. Are secrets good for you? You got secrets, something you haven't told your friends, your children, your co-workers or whatever. Look, I understand there are things that you may be embarrassed about. But be honest. If you could share the thing that embarrasses you the most and know that people wouldn't really care, how liberating would that be? Huh? I don't know what it is. Maybe you had an affair and you're just holding it in. You don't want to tell somebody. Maybe you kicked your dog. I don't know. All I'm telling you is there's something inside of every one of us that you hold, and it's a secret. And maybe somebody very, very, very close to you understands it and you've told them or whatever. I hate to put it this way because this is a terrible analogy, but it is. It's something that you can relate to. They say that's why serial killers keep these little trinkets. I remember in the TV series Dexter, when he was finally able to tell some girl he was dating that he was, a serial killer. It was like, I can live now. As crazy as that sounds, this serial killer, which by the way, he was a good one because he killed bad guys, but he felt free. All this time, it was only something he and his father knew. His father found out his son was a serial killer. One of these kids that was going to grow up to be a serial killer. And he says, look, if you're going to be this, we're going to make it for something good. We're going to satisfy that urge in you by putting it into something good. And he makes his son a serial killer that kills bad guys. That's the premise of Dexter. But here's the thing. Only he and his dad knew. Even Dexter's sister doesn't know. And the whole angst of that TV show is Dexter having to keep it secret. You get what I'm saying? Secrecy, being the instrument of conspiracy, ought never to be a system of regular government. Jeremy Bentham said that. But that's what we had. And it isn't just Obama, folks. We can blame Obama and talk about him all we want. We've had a secret government for decades. Decades. People afraid to talk about it, to divulge those secrets. And guess what? You're the people who pay for it. You're the people who are supposed to know everything about your government, because that's what's going to make you more effective as leaders. But you know what the people in government say? They say you're too stupid to lead. We can't tell you the secrets, because if you know them, you'll make the wrong decisions. These people believe they make the right decisions. Why? Because they're smart. They're the intelligentsia. You're the idiot. You just pay the bills. I mean, I want you to imagine, you've got a sugar daddy and he's paying the bills. And every time he comes over and he's like, hey, look, we haven't even cuddled. And you go, look, we ain't cuddling. This is as good as it gets. You get to come and feast upon these, all of this right here. But that's as far as it goes, my friend. And by the way, I need a new credit card. And he's like, yes, okay, here you go. Boom. And by the way, here's all my cash and here's my jewelry and whatever else. And when I see you next time to feast upon you, I will deliver more cash and more goodies and all. That's the way Washington treats you. You're just the sugar daddy that's supposed to show up and pay bills and shut up and get out, and you get what you get. And it depends on the mood I'm in. So when you think about what we've witnessed over the past 8+ years with Obama, decades, and before him, but what he really put to a level that's unbelievable. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that Barack Obama claims that he's got this scandal-free administration, and he maintains his secrecy to this day. Folks, we know less about that man than we know about who was the last dictator of Zimbabwe. We know less about Obama than we know about that guy, and you don't even know who that guy's name is. You know less about the guy who presided over this country. The only thing you know about that fool is he didn't care about you. He didn't love you. He didn't love this country. That's what you know. You don't know. You got ideas about how he came to it. You don't know what the status of his marriage is for real. You don't know what the status is of Reggie Love. You don't know what the status is of his children. You don't know what the status is of his extended family. You don't know what the status is of his real friendships, what he went to school for, how well he did. You know nothing about him, and neither do the leftists. Neither do any of them. He is cloaked in secrecy, and he'll try to keep it that way to the very end, and I'm going to talk more about it today. Glad you guys are tuned in to Kevin Jackson Show.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Jackson Radio Show.
There's a saying that the best weapon of a dictatorship is secrecy, but the best weapon of a democracy should be the weapon of openness. Niels Bohr, famous physicist, actually said this, and it's very true. And Niels Bohr was instrumental in getting, to some degree, of getting the bomb into America. I mean, other scientists had worked with him related to it, Einstein included, but and Oppenheimer and many others. But Niels Bohr, a lot of the things that he discovered are part of the reason why we were able to get the bomb, and it was just physics breakthrough, genius of mindset guy. And having gone through with what he went through with Hitler and understanding what the United States was doing in building the bomb, and by the way, this is the reason why the nuclear bomb was the secrets that the Soviets ended up getting it, is because there was somebody in America who said one nation shouldn't have all this power. If there was one nation who could have dealt with all that power, it is the United States. But it was only a matter of time before the scientists in Germany were going to figure out how to build nuclear bombs. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Hillary Clinton. There was an article written in Vice magazine about Hillary's level of truthfulness, and they said they had set it up already, and I'm starting it right here where it says, in truth, her caginess is deeper than mere electoral strategy. Because what they were saying is Hillary Clinton doesn't answer questions in the press gaggles. She ignores you. She says things like, have another chocolate or whatever. She won't answer your question. Like they ask, why don't you just call Donald Trump an out-and-out liar when he accuses you of these things? And she says, have another chocolate. That was one of the exchanges. So he says her caginess is deeper than mere electoral strategy. Even as Clinton winds her way back toward 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, her abiding mistrust of the press, refusal to be held accountable, and habit of stonewalling whenever possible adds up to one thing. The woman who will likely be our next president has a transparency problem. Now, see, I'm going to stop there for just a second and explain to you guys that while they saw it as a transparency problem, you saw it for what it was. She's a blatant liar. And the only thing that was they had trouble seeing was that she was not going to be the next president of the United States, thankfully. They go on to talk about these things that led up to it, okay? The infamous private email server, which enabled Clinton to skirt record-keeping rules and send emails that wouldn't turn up in the Freedom of Information Act records request, is just the most notable example of Clinton's habit of secrecy. She was the first Secretary of State to discard a state.gov address in favor of a secret account. Her staff deleted thousands of emails, probably irrevocably, and hackers may have breached her unsecured account. But though all of this may be outrage-inducing, it's Clinton's anomic political handling of the scandal that's been most puzzling. Given the opportunity to disclose her private email account to Congress in December of 2012, Hillary Clinton instead ignored congressional questioning about the account's existence, which was then discovered anyway. What followed was a torturous process of extraction in which the emails were released in dribs and drabs for months, culminating in the recovery by the FBI of even more missing emails. As a result, the New York Times reported this month thousands of emails that Mrs. Clinton did not voluntarily turn over to the State Department last year could be released just weeks before the election in November. I'm going to stop there and just tell you this. The irony of everything that I'm telling you is that in Hillary Clinton's attempt to hide her real self from us, who she really is, what she represents, all the detail we would have gotten from those emails, she torpedoed herself. See, even the common man went, wait a minute. I'm going to be working for the State Department for the government, and I get to have a private server in my bathroom basement? Yeah, with my own IT guy? Yeah. And then I delete 33,000 emails and talk about this for my yoga and my daughter's wedding? Yeah. Yeah. And there were black people all over the country, men and women alike, and a lot of other people, women, going, I don't buy that. Now, I can't speak for everybody. You know the results of the election. She lost, but she won the popular vote. And now they're talking, we got the number of votes that were cheated and all that. But for whatever reason, there were many people that still liked her. But what happened was enough of them went, and that was that. A sidestepping of federal record-keeping requirements that culminates in the release of the same records as the October surprise. Poetic justice, maybe, this person writes. But it is Clinton's profound good fortune that first during the primary campaign and now during the general election, her opponents have been unwilling or unable to exploit her inability to play straight. Bernie Sanders at first refused to make an issue of Clinton's email troubles and only belatedly decried their murky confluence of the State Department and the Clinton Foundation under her leadership. Donald Trump, they write, is a malfunctioning cotton candy machine, too haywire to spin one durable, lasting strand. How'd that work out for him? Given the insanity of the right-wing conspiracies about Clinton, she of the cattle futures, the secret Parkinson's, Vince Foster's murder, it's not hard to see why one might dismiss less wild accusations against her. See, I love how these people, they so miscalculate. They think we're idiots. Oh, Donald Trump couldn't weave a strand. Donald Trump branded Hillary Clinton. He might as well have taken out a hot cattle prod and put Crooked Hillary as the brand and burned it right into her big old white buttocks, because that's what he did. Now, look, all is forgiven. These clowns, they lost. And this writer at least recognizes that Hillary Clinton is a bald-faced liar. There's a saying, secrecy once accepted becomes an addiction. And that's what the Clintons did. Article after article you can read that said the Clintons were secret to a point of paranoia. Paranoia. Hillary Clinton is telling you Donald Trump is unhinged. He's not worthy of being president. She's giving you all these things that this successful person who has been I don't know of a more open book president. Tell me what it is. If you don't know something about Donald Trump, it's because it's good. You may not know that he builds houses for people, pulls limos over to change flats, give people rides, pays for their medical, things like that. Little things that you just dismiss, he does routinely. You may not know that, but you know everything else about him. You know his bankruptcies. You know his divorces. You know his children. You know his, lawsuits and all these other things. There's nothing you don't know about this guy. What do you really know about the Clintons other than they're crooked to their core? That's all you know. I asked earlier, what do you know about Obama? Tell me. The story they wrote about this fool's girlfriends was, they said, an amalgam of all of them. And so now you know of a couple. There's one white chick and one Asian chick. That's all we know. But then there's rumors about him dating boys. What do you know about it? What has really been written about him? You don't know. You may never know.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Officials are expressing outrage following what many in the international community are calling the brutal and unjustified use of Hillary Clinton against their nation. Secretary of State Clinton hit Islamabad at approximately 9 a.m. yesterday as most civilians were starting their workday or attending morning prayers. Just hours after Clinton arrived, the UN released a statement condemning the United States, saying, quote, under no circumstances is there ever a justification for the preemptive deployment of Hillary Clinton anywhere by any country. Joining us now is Pakistan's ambassador to the United States, Hassam Amdiri. Thank you for being here, Mr. Ambassador. Preliminary figures we have here showing over 500 civilians suffered the full force of Mrs. Clinton, and over 1,000 more may have suffered some exposure to her inflexible hair and pseudo-folksy hand gestures.
It's horrible. Innocent women and even children had to endure her stiffly rehearsed stories about farmers she met who inspired her. She was even sent into a hospital.
That's awful.
Mr. Obama clearly regards our people as beneath human dignity to have unleashed such a woman upon us.
The Red Cross has set up camps just across the Afghan border for the tens of thousands of refugees who fled their homes to avoid Mrs. Clinton.
They
Is
were
that
the
right?
lucky ones. Many more were trapped inside the Clintonized area and could not escape her clumsy attempts to relate to them.
So people were caught completely unaware
I'm
of that.
afraid so. The Hillary Clinton warning sirens sounded just a few minutes before she hit. It was too late for most people. They had to endure her cacophonous fake laughter.
The facts are the facts.
Oh, what a revelation the left is going to get in 2018 when the truth comes out about the Democrats. See, the one thing we don't have to worry about, conservatives, is learning the truth about Donald Trump. We know it. Yeah. Oh, Kevin, he's messed around with prostitutes and this, that, and the other. You know what? At the end of the day, I don't even care. Does it matter? Look, this is a billionaire who's, for all I don't know what people do when they get that kind of money. You may lose your mind. But I believe that Donald Trump would probably have this is just my bet. He'd say, I don't care. Yeah, I dated a prostitute once. Tito Ortiz of the UFC, his girlfriend, or maybe his wife now, is a porn star. Somebody marries these people. And there may have been a time when I was a bit more sanctimonious where I would be like, oh my goodness. Look, God redeems us all. You may look at your little peccadillos and go, well, I don't do things like that. Well, you know what? In God's eyes, there's no difference between the person that's, a porn star and a person that's a liar. There's no difference. We are all unworthy. So I don't even worry about it. I'm not worried about that with Trump. We know a lot about Donald Trump, but let me tell you, the left is getting a rude awakening, and it is really bothering people. Not only did they get a rude awakening about Barack Obama because of his record after his first term, if I don't have the budget balance, knock down this much by that time, then, it's all game over. It's all over. And then, so they had his track record after his first 4 years, and they go, he just needs more time, man. Give the man more time. So we did, and it got worse. He sucked. So they got his actual record. Forget what you don't know about the clown. Now you know stuff. So they're reeling from that. Then they find out he cheated, and he tried to get the most crooked person on the planet, the most secret person you could ever meet, Hillary Clinton, into the White House. He conspired. And then not only that, he poisoned everything around him. Hey, James Comey, you'll help out Mueller. Will you help out McCabe? Will you help out Page Strzok? Hey, keep me informed, guys. I want to know what's happening. So he does all of this in order to keep one white dude out. Why? Because he's two reasons. One, he hates conservatives and Republicans. And two, he ends up hating Trump because Trump has the nerve to call him out. To say, look at this guy's record. Are you kidding me? I look forward to following him. I don't even have to know how to do this job, and I can do it better than him. I can do this job in my sleep. I can do this job so much better than him, you won't even remember his name. Trump just went to town on him. Everybody else, hands off. He's the cool black dude. Nobody can say anything. And Trump said, bring me the next Negro. Maxine, I don't care. He just started beating the people. Punches. Slugging it out. Telling people, let's go for it. So, this is a guy who didn't follow convention, who didn't play the Romney game of, I'll be Mr. Cool and calm, and I'll act like this, that, and the other, and I'll get elected. Romney should have beaten Obama. He could have just said, all I'm going to do in this debate, I would have had some fun. I would have said, here's what I'm going to do in this debate. I'm only going to quote you back what Barack Obama said. No matter what question he asked me, I've got him categorized. So I'm just going to find the category, and I'm going to quote back his own words to him from his first 4 years as president. And then you let me know how well I do. That's how I would have debated Barack Obama. Obamacare. Oh, hey, I've got a good one for you there. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan, period. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, period. Closing Gitmo. I will close Gitmo, blah, 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 blah. Boom. And that'd go on. Like I said, just policy after policy. Can't get a website to work, for goodness sake. That's what I would have done. So Barack Obama's mad. You got Hillary Clinton crooked. He's completely told us, and when he gets to Washington, he's going to be the paragon of virtue. He's going to explain everything. It's going to be exposed. He's going to be transparent. It's going to be on the internet and all this. And I would go through, like I said, if I was debating him, I would just have everything that he said. I'd have all the quotes. Oh, I have 2 minutes? Great. Here's my quote. Here's an article that he did here. I would have it tabbed and indexed. And they would go, that's a very unusual way to debate, Mr. Kevin Jackson of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. By the way, I'd give my phone number out too, 844-551-8255. And I would say, yeah, it is. You know what's interesting about this debate? What you learn is how duplicitous this clown is. Why do I need to debate this clown? You don't even need to know what my stances are. What you need to know is he is a liar. He's a liar that keeps secrets. He's a liar that doesn't want you to know who he is. We have spent, if this is me and Romney, we've spent 4 years trying to get to know this man. Why? Because you should know who the person is that's leading your nation. And let me tell you what he's done. He won't, forget his birth certificate. I don't care where he's born. His mom's American. So for all intents and purposes, I wipe my hands of that. But here's what I don't wipe my hands of. I don't wipe my hands of you leftists claiming that he's the smartest man in the world, smartest person to ever be the president, and the smartest person who has been wants to be that you claim is president won't show us his grades. That's what I'm curious about. Now, it may seem like a little thing to you, but I happen to have brought my grades with me. Here's my transcript from, high school. Here's my transcript from where I went to college. And oh, by the way, here's my track record running Bain, one of the most successful financial companies in the world. And did I mention I gave away my trust fund and I rebuilt my wealth to the tune of $250 million through hard work ethic, and I didn't rely on anybody. Now, he's going to tell you that I did that because I have some sort of privilege, but I gave up my privilege and then I rebuilt. Now, that's what America will allow you to do. I would have just destroyed this clown. But what do? What does Romney do? First debate, did a good job. Second debate, because he didn't want to attack. And you know what Trump said? I'll attack him. And that riled up Obama to such a degree he couldn't believe. How dare you? Because now he's in his last term. And he's like, I've got it together now. I don't have to worry about trying to get reelected. I don't have to worry about anybody talking about me, even though I've lost over 1,000 offices for Democrats. They got nothing to say. I've even put it on them. They lost because they didn't believe in me enough. Believe it or not, that's what Obama said. You didn't follow me closely enough. You didn't buy into the thing. If you had, you wouldn't have lost. All these people would be okay. Yeah, 1,000+ seats that he lost. That's his excuse. He's cloaked in secrecy. And he's mad when people try to explain who he is. How dare you try to tell people who I am? It's like that guy that does something sneaky behind your back and you go, man, what are you doing? What are you doing rifling through my drawer? Were you trying to steal something? Like you catch him at a friend's house and he's rifling, he's going through the jewelry box. And you're like, what are you doing? And you better not tell anybody. Then you go tell people and he's mad at you. He's mad at you because you dare catch him in the act. And now you've got something over him. See, and he doesn't want it to get out. That's Barack Obama. He's rifling through his friend's jewelry. He's going to steal that one thing, just almost like a serial killer. It says, I'm going to take that one little thing that you're going to miss at some point, not right away, but that's going to be my little treasure. And I'll steal something from everybody I meet. And you know it. You happen to catch him every single time. And he's like, what is the deal? You're uncanny at catching me. And Trump was uncanny at catching him. And it ain't over. Because he's caught him big time now. But I want to go back to why Obama is so secretive here in a bit.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. There's a saying, whatever hysteria exists is inflamed by mystery, suspicion, and secrecy. Hard and exact facts will cool it. It was Elia Kazan. And what he was saying was, no matter what scandal is brewing, no matter what, hidden intent you had, hidden agenda that you had, the hard facts are going to go psst. So for the people who are saying, oh, these guys are hunting, they're looking for all the wrong things with this, we're saying it correctly. We're saying this Russian witch hunt is going to backfire. And it has. And now it's starting to spin. And the left are going, no, there was no malfeasance going on with the FISA courts and all that. And the hysteria that's coming around it is going to eventually cool. But it's going to cool in our favor. Because the hard and exact facts are going to cool it. See, what people are going to struggle with on the left is the fact that Barry Obama, their godsend, is an enigma. That's not a racial slam for you leftists that are listening to the program. And by the way, even if it were, I could say it because I'm authentically black. 79% to be specific. I've talked about how little America knows about Obama from records. But I've also talked about how much we know about Barack Obama from his actions. Even after leaving the White House, Obama remains cloaked in secrecy. His presidential library is not going to have all of his writings and his musings and so on. Supposedly, it's going to be like a bunch of digital stuff. He doesn't want you to have his notes. He doesn't want you to have his little doodlings that he's done, through the time he spent in the White House. What's up with that? It's a library, man. It's supposed to be the place where you can go, here's all my works. Here's what I was involved in the whole time. Let me tell you what it is. Barack Obama doesn't want you to know what he wasn't doing. He doesn't want you to know that he wasn't pulling the strings necessarily. Somebody else was doing it. He doesn't want you to see his emails. He doesn't want you to see the archive of a presidency. The first supposedly black president, half black, you would think he would want to be an open book. This is all I wish to accomplish. This is how I was able to do it. I bucked the system. I fought the law and the law didn't win. He doesn't want you to see it. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I keep talking to you guys about the most mundane things. 6th grade transcript when he was at a madrasa or wherever in the 3rd grade in Indonesia. Can you get any record of that? Can you get a record of his high school? Whatever. Everything about this guy sealed. I wish Trump would just say, you know what? We're opening all that crap up. You can see Barack Obama's this, that, and the other. What law is there that says you can't see somebody's grades? For example, if you want to get a job and they say, I'd like to see your transcript, can we go find out where he applied for a job and say, we'd like to see Barack Obama's transcript? It's not HIPAA. We're not talking about we're going to find out he's got some dreaded disease that Michelle gave him. I'm just saying, what do we got to do here? Doesn't want to tell you anything. And worse, He's secretive even about speaking in public, like he's some entertainer. He doesn't want his act shown on YouTube. You can't be bootlegging my speech. The audience might not come to the next show of Cirque du Freak. And this is what happened at MIT. You guys heard about Barack Obama's going to go speak in MIT Sloan School. And here's the story. I'll just read this to you. It was at Reason.com. On Friday, former President Barack Obama spoke for an hour to an audience of hundreds of people at a major sports policy conference at MIT. But his remarks were off the record and kept completely secret by virtually all attendees, who had to agree that they would not record, photograph, tweet, or report on the event before being granted a seat in the audience. Reason obtained a recording of the speech. However, the most noteworthy thing about it is the simple fact that the public wasn't supposed to hear it. Now, this is a former president of the United States, by the way, who's still on our payroll, who still receives his $400,000 a year. All right. Or I don't know what they give him, like maybe it's down to, they give him like $20,000 a month, I think, when they get out. But whatever the number is, he's still on our payroll. And he's going to give a public speech. And the stipulation is you can't record it. We don't want any. If you're in here, you're one of the good guys, you can't do it. We don't want you to hear anything. Don't let anybody in the rest of the world know what's going on in here. As if he's talking policy. He's at a sports policy conference. And yet, he doesn't want you to hear it. In his remarks, Obama expressed concern that Americans have segregated themselves into two entirely different realities, where not just opinions but basic facts are in dispute, claimed to have left office without a major embarrassing scandal, and proved that he really loves basketball. That's what he said. And so the man who undoubtedly attempted to thwart a U.S. election by targeting Donald Trump steadfastly contends he's done nothing wrong. The article continues in an attempt to understand the secrecy surrounding Obama's comments. And they said this: those were some of the highlights from his talk at MIT's Sloan Sports Analytics Conference on Friday. The event, attended by hundreds of sports industry professionals, journalists, and students, was cloaked in secrecy. Having listened to the entire thing, I'm not sure what all the secrecy was about. It was pretty standard fare for Obama, and he never once said the word Trump, though Obama did seem to imply that his White House was remarkably drama-free in contrast. The more you learn about Obama, the more you understand how full of crap he is. Yes, America, it's really that simple. Leftists hate it. They claim, when I say that, they claim I have some agenda, some, problem with his, Kevin, you're jealous or whatever else. It's none of that. It's none of that. What I can tell you without any, let's not draw it out here. Obama's full of crap. It's that simple. Here was one of the 5 takeaways from the meeting. They said, Obama thinks Google, Facebook, etc. are, quote, a public good as well as a commercial enterprise, and should consider whether they are corroding our democracy. He describes social media platforms as a hugely powerful potential source for good, but then immediately hedged. What's also true is that our social media platforms are just a tool. ISIS can use that tool. Neo-Nazis can use that tool. I do think that large platforms, Google and Facebook, being the most obvious, Twitter and others as well, are part of the ecosystem, have to have a conversation about their business model that recognizes they're a public good as well as a commercial enterprise, not just an invisible platform. They're shaping our culture in powerful ways. Now, I suggest to Obama that leftists are far worse on social media than ISIS and all of the neo-Nazis combined. I've been a victim of them. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know how much we talked about it, but my entire YouTube channel got shut down because we posted a video of Elizabeth Warren that's readily available. No commentary. Just, here's Elizabeth Warren lying. Some bots hit my site, and YouTube shut down my site. Now, Obama laments the fall of the fake news media. Here's what he says. Essentially, we now have an entirely different realities that are being created with not just different opinions, but with different facts. And it isn't just, by the way, the Russians inspired bots and fake news. This is Fox News versus the New York Times editorial page. If you look at these two different sources of information, they do not describe the same thing. In some cases, they don't even talk about the same thing. And it's so different, very difficult rather, to figure out how the democracy works over the long term in those circumstances. So what he's upset about is that the New York Times editorial page doesn't agree with Fox's editorial page. So in other words, Macy's and Dillard's have to sell the same product, or else it can't be considered news. It can't be considered legit unless they're selling the same product. But he goes a step further. He noted that in other countries like China, the government simply decides which viewpoints can be aired in public, but that's not who we are, and that's not the society I want to live in, he says. Even so, media giants like Facebook and Google should keep in mind that the U.S. government has a role to play in ensuring that there are basic rules of the road in place to create level playing fields. Now, this is the clown who knows that the playing field is unlevel in social media. He wants to compare what's happening right now to China, saying that the government just puts that information out on you. I tell you, Barack Obama knows that is exactly what's been happening to us. In fact, he did it himself. Obamacare is a perfect example where the powers that be said, this is what you're going to have. They finagled the Supreme Court in whatever way to essentially subvert the Constitution and pass something that we don't want. And now they strategize to keep us from repealing it. And I could go on. America was dangerously close to being just like China, where the government just tells you how it is, and that's the end of it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Let's start with some headlines. Bernie Sanders' son, Levi, is going to run for Congress. You guys hear this? I don't even know who Levi is. Levi Sanders. Let's look him up. Levi Sanders. 5 things to know about Levi Sanders. I'm pulling this article up as I'm doing this right now. Son of independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders announced he will seek to join his father in Congress. Going to run in New Hampshire's 1st Congressional District for a seat currently held by Representative Carol Shea Porter, a Democrat. She's not running for re-election. So here's what they say you need to know about this guy. He's living up to the Sanders brand. Means he's a sellout. Sanders is running on a platform that mirrors in part that of his father, who defeated Clinton in the New Hampshire primary 2016. The basic difference is that I'm a vegetarian and he's not, Sanders told Vice News, which had earlier reported that Sanders was considering a run. Says he'll run his own race. According to his campaign website, he cites a need for Medicare for all health care system, tuition-free public college, and a boost to the minimum wage. Sanders also calls for urgent action to address the opioid epidemic, which he says is at crisis level in the granite state, equal pay for women, and sensible gun laws. He doesn't live in the district. No surprise there. It's worth noting that he's running in New Hampshire. He resides in Claremont, which is the state's 2nd congressional district. Representative Ann Custer, a Democrat, represents that district, and she's running for re-election. He's only required to live in the state, not the district, to run for office. He's never held public office. Well, why should that stop him? Right? He's tried. According to the New York Times, Levi ran for a city council in Claremont at the age of 40, but finished 7th out of 9 candidates. He's worked with his father on political campaigns as a senior aide during his 2016 campaign for the presidency and as a consultant on his bid for the Senate. A consultant. Yeah, using my finger quotes there. The race will be tough, The race to fill the seats gearing up to be competitive. He jumped into the race. There are 8 Democratic candidates, 3 Republicans. Some of the organizations that supported the elder Sanders in 2016 primaries have lined up behind other candidates. The seat itself has bounced back between Democratic and Republican control over the past few election cycles. If the Republicans want to win this is a winnable seat, I would say. That many Democrats, small number of Republicans, solidify quickly, boom. Get it going, man. He's not the only Sanders running for higher office. His sister, Karina Driscoll, recently announced that she's running for mayor in Burlington, the position that launched her dad's political career. She served as a city council member and state legislature, is tapping into the power of the Vermont senator in her efforts, though she too insists she's running her own race. Being Bernie's daughter is one small piece, but it's an important piece, she said, to help people understand the vision for Burlington I'm talking about. Good for them. So the Sanders are now trying to become a political dynasty. Along the lines of the Kennedys and the Clintons. Perhaps even the Obamas, huh? Wow. Go Bernie. Go Bernie. It's your birthday. Go Bernie. What else we got here? Headlines. Doomsday. I love this one. Doomsday Vault beefed up with seeds. Dun, 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 dun. You want to know why? Due to global warming. They're saying that the federal government said we better put in more seeds in the vault. You know, they got the underground vaults in the Cheyenne Mountains and all over the place. We need to put in more seeds because, global warming may kill the seeds that we currently have, and then that's the end of that. What's funny to me is how we ended up getting fruit and, vegetables and all that to begin with. We had this barren earth, Pangea. It broke apart. It was hot. It formed the current continent system that we have. And we've got delicious foods. I don't think it's going away, personally. I think nature will find a way to get us what we need. That's just my opinion. But yeah, Doomsday Vault being beefed up with seeds due to global warming. See, here's what I think. I think the Doomsday Vault, they went in there and they went, when was the last time we changed out these seeds? And somebody said, you know what, Kev? I don't know, man. It's probably been a while. Let's check the manual. So they checked the manual and they went, holy cow, man, these seeds are 5 years old. What's the lifespan on these seeds? And somebody said, man, I think we're right at the cusp. We need to get rid of these seeds. So they said to a purchasing order, listen, we got all these seeds that are right at the end of their, being good. Let's get rid of them. Let somebody else plant them. Let's see where we go from there. And that's what they did. But we're being told it's due to global warming. I saw another story. It says penguins are in danger of extinction, due to, anybody? Global warming. That's right. Not only do we need to beef up our seeds in the vault, penguins are in danger. There's a certain type of penguin, like a king penguin or, royal penguin or big penguin. I don't know which one, but he's got problems due to global warming. And here's what I said. I guess all the polar bears have died out. Because it seemed like last year, they were telling me how bad it was for polar bears. They are dying. The sea ice is getting to this or whatever. So we better get, the polar bear. Are the polar bears gone? Or, just somebody please explain it to me. Because I believe the polar bears are still here. From what I hear, they're frolicking. They're doing great. They love the expanded sea ice. Global climate change hasn't impacted them one bit. But that's not what they tell you. Polar bears, still alive. This penguin, let me make you a bet. This penguin will still be alive 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. This penguin will still be on the planet, having fun and frolic, keeping its butt away from those jaguar seals. What are they called? Those tiger seals? I don't know what they're called, but they're mean-spirited dudes. They were not seals. Like there's sea lions, and then there's it's like a jaguar seal or something like that. Big teeth. I mean, mean animal for sure. Short break, folks. We'll be back in just a bit. Keep it easy.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Where do we start? Holy cow, Donald Trump is just a savings machine. Now, I know this budget it's a belt buster, but he'll get it in check here pretty soon. I believe that. I'm not happy about the budget. You guys have heard me talk about this. By the way, who am I? Kevin Jackson. What are you listening to? The Kevin Jackson Radio Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Glad you guys are here talking about secrecy, talking about what the government wants to hide from you. We're also talking about how Donald Trump is exposing all of these different things, how the swamp is being drained. It's going to ultimately end up helping us. We may have to crack a few eggs, some like this budget. We may have to crack a few eggs on a few issues that maybe you don't quite agree with. Maybe you are a little bit queasy on the immigration policy of Donald Trump. I don't know. But whatever it is, understand this. You finally have somebody that cares about you. He may have a roundabout way of negotiating things, but you might just get what you wanted. I'll give you an example. The price of the Air Force One. He reached an agreement with Boeing on a fixed price contract for the new Air Force One program. This, according to Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gigley, and he said the contract going to save taxpayers $1.4 billion. Now, that's a rounding error for government. But you know what? It's $1.4 billion that we don't have to reach in our pockets for. Donald Trump came into this presidency, into his new administration, and he said this. You know what I notice about government spending? Nobody ever checks it. We write checks. Oh, the project slipped a little bit. No problem. Just here's some more money. That's how Democrats solve it. Because the money isn't about the contractors. The contractors are kicking it back. That's why. If there's a cost overrun, we'll get you more money. It'll mean more to your district and so on and so forth. They don't care. Donald Trump said, and I believe this to be true, there hasn't been a government program that's come in on time or on budget for decades, and we've done nothing. Enough is enough. And he begins with something symbolic. This is what you got to love about this dude, man. He understands the pomp and circumstance. Don't start on some obscure program, some missile program nobody knows about. Start with the top. From the top, I don't want a plane that we can build that's going to have a cost overrun. You're going to start with the plane that the president rides in. See, that's something that gets you noticed. Boeing loves it. Oh, it's our civic duty. We shouldn't be making profit on the plane that we give to the president. I heard the spokesperson talking about it. You know, look, this is a plane. I don't know who decided to do this. But back in the early days of the presidency, we didn't do this. We didn't have a special plane for the presidency, for the president. Now we do. And you know what's happened? Every time they've rebuilt Air Force One, it's gotten more and more and more expensive. Because somebody goes, well, it needs to have this. And it needs to have the ability to, to this. It needs to have a gym. It needs to have, TVs and satellites and all this other stuff. And good, I get it. But, it's a lot of money. And it's a lot of money for something that, quite frankly, we rarely use. We use Air Force One to fly the president around. I get it. But we've never used it rarely use it for the total emergency package. But let's say we have to have it. Understood. But what can we do with the old ones? Can we sell them? Can we get some money back for these Air Force Ones? Take out some of the avionics and Boeing use those jets for something else? I don't know. I'm just trying to be a pragmatist here. Anyway, Trump has said Boeing costs to build replacements for Air Force One of the most visible symbols of the U.S. presidency, were too high. And he said, let's cancel the order. And Boeing got the message. The 747-8s are designed to be airborne, flying the worst case security scenario, nuclear war, blah, 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 modified to the hilt. I get it. But there's no reason why they have to be built for the amount of money that we're paying Boeing. And I'll tell you something else that Boeing does with the president's plane. They look at all the possibilities of what can be done to their aircraft. What do they learn from working on the president's plane that they can apply technologically? See, that's another fallout to that. Anyway, somebody came back and said, he didn't save no $1.4 billion, because that's what the naysayers do. It's only going to be $0.2 billion. It's only going to be this or that. This is what Boeing was going to build it for. And then Boeing came out and said, yep, he negotiated and saved $1.4 billion. Now, I don't know whether it was $200 million or it was actually $1.4 billion. But here's what I do know. Donald Trump symbolically said, we need to cut these programs. We need to take a serious look at them. I don't know what the fallout will be long term, but I predict that every one of these government contracts that's got a cost overrun, those companies are going to eat them. Donald Trump's going to say, you're going to give us a lot more than what you've been giving us because you've been ripping us off for decades. And you know what? It's going to hurt them a little bit in the stocks initially. But we're going to get the swamp drained, even with government subcontractors. Donald Trump's putting out the word, enough is enough. Here's another thing he did that a lot of people overlooked. Donald Trump released his budget on White House personnel, name, status, salary, position, all 377 White House employees. Keep in mind, Donald Trump doesn't take a dime of his salary. He donates it all. He donated it to the Department of Interior. But what was interesting is the savings of Donald Trump over Obama. $35.8 million was his payroll versus $40.9 million under Obama. That's a savings of $5.1 million. Nothing. In the scheme of Washington, that's nothing. But it is something. Because it symbolically shows that yet again, Donald Trump sees himself as a person who needs to watch the budget. Here's what it means, and I'll give you the numbers. 110 fewer employees on the White House staff under Trump than under Obama at this point in their respective presidencies. 19 fewer staffers dedicated to the First Lady of the United States. 5 staffers dedicated to Melania versus 24 dedicated to Michelle Obama. And of course, the fact that Donald Trump donates his $400,000 to charity. Now, he did it to the Department of Interior initially, and then he's moving it around. but you get the point. See, folks, this is what leadership is about. He shows you. It isn't, hey, I'm going to talk about it. Barack Obama talked about a freeze and all these things he was going to do in D.C. The best money to be made is working for the Obama government. And then it's even more lucrative when you get out. Donald Trump said, no, we are going to, I don't need 110 of these people. Melania says, I don't need 24 staffers. I need 5. Donald Trump said, I want to make sure that the next president rides in a plane that costs less than the one I ride in, and certainly not for ego, which people would probably blame him for. This is a guy that gets it. And what's funny is, because he gets it, Washington is on red alert. They are afraid for their sorry lives, their money-grubbing lives, because here's a guy that wants to watch those pennies.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Every now and then you get a story that validates leftism to the degree that you just go, thank you, Lord. He drops it into my lap. Holy cow. And this story has to do with feminism. It has to do with feminists wanting to ban the word man. That's right. Purdue University wants to ban the word man. So I suggest that they begin with manipulate. See, that's a bad word for men. Oh, you are being manipulated. Manipulated. You get it? I said, let's make it womanipulated. If you want to ban man, let's call it chickmipulate or something like that. Because let me explain something to you. The feminist movement is chickmipulating many women around the world, around the country certainly. They are manipulating these women. They want them to believe that feminism has a successful outcome. Now, I always preface this by saying, number one, there's nobody that respects conservative women more than I do. Nobody. I think you ladies are the salt of the earth. You are amazing. I don't care what your strata is. You could be the single mom raising your kid right, or you could be in the lap of luxury with maids and whatever else. I still believe you are the salt of the earth, because it's the mentality that you give your children and that you give the people around you. You are proud of your femininity. I've often said this. I really feel sorry for young girls today that grow up with this feminist idea of life. I really do. They completely abandon the thing that makes them special, which is that feminine mind, that feminine way. Guys, when we see it, we love it. We're attracted to it. It is so beguiling. You can have whatever you want from us. I've said many times to quite a few feminists, give me what you've got between your legs and I will own the world within a week. Don't even play with me on this. But instead of looking at their feminine wiles, looking at how women think and what they do that are so differently and how they are able to get men to do the things that they want, they say, nope, we want to beat it into men. We don't want to say, hey, sweetie, would you please do that for me? Because that's too subservient. Having to ask means that, you couldn't do it on your own. So let me tell you something. If there's any young girls listening, let me tell you, I'm going to give you the secret decoder ring to men. Your moms have probably already told you, because if they're listening to my program, The Kevin Jackson Show, they are strong conservative women who understand that we men think they are number one. We put them above ourselves. So young girls, listen up. The way to get whatever you want out of life is to nicely ask a man for it. That's it. We aren't sitting around going, women will get nothing from us. We're sitting around going, what can we do to help? And the person that comes up and says, hey, you're going to do this for me, young man, and we go, okay, sure, whatever. And we completely dismiss you. But the person who comes up and says, hey, Kevin, would you be a doll and help me do blankety blank, or be a love? I could really use your help, is going to get anything they want. Now, I'm not talking about just going up to random men and saying this, but let me tell you a little secret. When you're picking your husband, I guarantee you, when you go up to him and you say something like that, he's going to go, absolutely. And then he's going to get you that big fat ring. The one that all your girlfriends go, what the heck is she doing to deserve that? Then he's going to get you the big fat house that you can raise your, well, whatever, chubby kids, skinny kids, I don't care. But you're going to raise your kids in a lap of luxury, and he's going to treat you like a queen because you're going to be nice. That's all it takes. And just for the record, men do it too. We're not as good at it, but we're nice. We'll come up and go, hey, man, would you mind helping a brother out? Can you mind doing so-and-so? And you know what? Guys like that too. Women even like it. It's called just being nice, being human. But so anyway, they want to get rid of the word man. Yeah. How do you change the culture? You change the way people interact with one another. You change the language. The left has been on the attack, folks, for decades. They've been slowly attempting to modify the language. They've been attempting to change that we interact with one another. You can't say he. You can't say her or him or his or son or daughter. They claim to want a society where everybody just, pretends not to worry about gender, pretends not to worry about color, pretends not to worry about religion and all these other things. When in fact, your job as a human being is to notice difference. That's what you do. You notice movement, slight movement. You notice things that are wrong with this picture. That has been your survival mechanism for millennia. But they want to beat it out of you. They want to PC it out of you. They want to make you understand, no, you can't do that. This rise of political correct counterculture has gained momentum, folks, over the past decade or so. More and more people, are offended now by gender-specific pronouns. I was coming back from the Fox studio, and I was telling this my driver, I went, you can get arrested. He's an Iranian guy. I said, you can get arrested in California. Because he was like, Kevin, the government's not oppressive. Why do you need guns? I said, what are you talking about, dude? We have the most oppressive government in the history of man. The only thing that's kept them from exercising on that oppression is the fact that we have guns. And I said, so if the government's not oppressive, why did they force me to buy Obamacare? And he went, well, and I go, if the government's not oppressive, why can people get arrested in California for using the wrong pronoun? In other words, my friend, freedom of speech gone. They want it, so that's First Amendment. Second Amendment, they want it gone. Fourth Amendment, you're going to pay for whatever I tell you to pay for. It's gone. 10th Amendment lets people, it's been completely ruined in many cases. 14th Amendment is gone in terms of letting people have babies and claiming that they're citizens. And I could go down the line, amendment by amendment, how it's just been completely disrupted because of leftism. What are you talking about? We have the most oppressive government out there. And now that government says women are being underutilized, mistreated. Really? No, only leftist women are mistreated. Conservative women are not mistreated. They don't feel mistreated. They marry men. They want to marry men. They start businesses. They are just as successful as men. And they realize that they're also different. And it's okay. They don't run from it. I'm a black person. I'm different than a person who looks, white. We're different. I can see the difference in our skin color. But you know what else? At the base level of it all, we're all the same. We're all the same. What's the difference in gender? Oh, Kevin, we get paid less because we're a woman. Really? So you think that an employer goes, well, she's a woman, so in the year 2018, I'm going to pay her less because she's a woman. Said no employer ever. What are we, 1950s America? 1940s America? Where every woman's a secretary and every guy's an executive? Look, that's died. It's gone. But women still claim to be manipulated. They're being oppressed. Man is doing it. I've said many times, folks, the biggest manipulators of women are other women. And you know what they do? You have last year's purse. Really going to wear that outfit? A guy will tell you, look, I don't like that. I don't like that outfit. But I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about fashion. So do your thing, girl. Be you. You do you, I'll do me. Women will beat you down. And you know who's second only to women? I mean, I'm talking about barely. The LGBT community. They will look at what you wear. They will look at the place you shop. They will look at the car you drive, the way you do your hair, the way you do your makeup, and they will judge you out the wazoo. And they will make you feel so little when they're done. Go get one of these cross-dressers talking about some woman and what she's wearing. Go sit in on that conversation. Go sit on a conversation with a woman who's talking about some girl she doesn't like. Dudes could not be a fraction as ruthless as them. We don't even know how. They're like, hey, man, what do you think about so-and-so? I don't like him. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So that kick last night, man, to save the game. Woo! That was amazing. We don't even care. We don't care what you wear. We don't care what you hair. We might go, man, what you do? You ain't got a comb. You lose your brush. You know, we may tease you about something, but we're not going to get all into your business and try to demoralize you and make you feel little. And quite honestly, you'll enjoy you'll be like, ha, that was kind of funny. Not women, but they say, ban the word man because men are evil. All we do is fight. Oh yeah, exactly. So why do you want to be like us? Why do you want to be like? And what's funny, even when they fight to be like us, they're not like us. Oh, you can't hit a woman. Oh, I can't believe he talked to me like that. I'm a woman. It's always falling back on the very thing that they claim they don't want, to be recognized for being a woman, for being the weaker sex. Hey, when we say that, we only mean physically, and it doesn't mean all men are stronger than all women. Just for the record, there are lots of women who are stronger than men. There are lots of women who are better athletes than men, smarter than men, and everything else. But don't let the women tell you that, young girls, because they need to demoralize you. They need you to feel little about yourselves. But it's very simple. It's no secret in how to get whatever you want out of life. And I'll say this to the young boys, because I've already given some hints to the young girls. You want to get the secret of life, young boys, young men listening to this Kevin Jackson show? Ask nicely. We come back, I want to play the clip of this girl talking about the ban of man.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Man is offensive. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. All man, total alpha male, too. Man is offensive, at least according to feminists, misandrists, people who hate men. But what's funny is all these feminists that hate men, they tend to find one and marry him. Who knew? Glad you guys are back. It's Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Attacking men. That's been the major thing. I'm giving a speech to some youngsters, about 1,000 youngsters here in April, college kids. And I'm warning the young girls that what's happening in this feminist movement is ruining their prospects for a very good future. Because what they're doing is they're eradicating the gene pool. Number one, these feminists are making men more feminine. They're, what do they call it, effeminate? Yeah, feminizing these men. Men don't even know what to be. They become metrosexuals. There's a blurred line between men and women now. There really is. Because men are afraid to be men. You can't have locker room talk anymore. By the way, women can have locker room talk all they want. They can talk about grabbing men by the naughty bits. They can talk about how, boorish their man behaves. They can talk about all the nasty things that men do, but don't you dare talk about them. Don't you call a woman out of her name or whatever else, but they can call men whatever they choose. And white guys, oh Lord, when I talk to these white students, I'm going to say, white boys in the audience, young men, you have the bleakest future of all. And let me paint a picture for you. It ain't good. Look at a third grader, that doesn't know how to painting, because that's what the picture I'm going to paint for you. It's not good. It's not something you will even put in the scrapbook. It's a bad future. Black men? Really? Do you really think that they're treating black men like men? Black men are babies. They get to go out, impregnate multiple women, have as many kids as they want, and society says, we'll take care of Ray's kids. It's okay. Don't worry about being responsible. Don't worry about being a father. Don't worry about growing up, black men. Don't ever worry about becoming a man. Don't worry about becoming a father and actually showing somebody how to become a good man. Don't worry about that. The women got you. Yeah, that's good, right? Anyway, here's this chick talking about banning man from the lingo.
A writing guide at Purdue University, accredited school, apparently tells students to avoid words like mailman and mankind in order to have, quote, non-sexist, non-biased writing. Kathy Aru is founder and publisher of Catalina Magazine, and we think she agrees. And she joins us tonight. Kathy, it's great to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
I got to say, there's kind of a basic irony here. I mean, you're lecturing us about sexism while you're sitting right now in Manhattan.
Manhattan. We need to rename the city then. The Big Apple. The Big Apple would be less offensive. So I feel that I'm sitting in the Big Apple, not Manhattan.
Okay, but why stop there? Why should the post office deliver mail?
I know. Well, it's spelled M-A-I-L, so that's okay. If it's M-A-L-E, then there's a problem.
Homonyms count, and this applies to email, too, because it's not about spelling. It's about being gender inclusive,
right.
And mail is offensive. We've just learned that. So.
Well, no, I don't think they're including that, but they are saying that society has changed and times are changing, and we don't want to be offensive in our language. And they're trying to be non-sexist and non-biased, and that means trying to take the word man out. So instead of man-made, it would be synthetic. So instead of mailman, it would be mail carrier. So there's many ways to go around it. Instead of humanity, you should say people.
But mail carrier still has mail in it. So you haven't, it's kind of a fake. Oh, but that's a judge.
Oh, package carrier.
Well,
we can come up with so many other terms that are less offensive. Yeah.
You might still offend dyslexics. You can change a vowel, but it sounds the same. It has that dreaded word that sends people shrieking for their safe spaces, mail.
Well, they're saying man. Man is the word that they're trying to avoid. They're saying that the word man is associated with adult men as opposed to just humanity or humans. So they're trying to avoid the word man. So if we can eliminate that word, then things would be much better and people would be less offended.
Believe it or not, folks, there are people that sit around thinking about this kind of crap. Welcome back. It's Kevin Jackson who you're listening to. I am a human. Yeah. It's funny. She says you could do things like human or humankind. Wait a minute. That still has man in it. What do you call a manatee? A womanatee? A chickatee? I'd call bullcrap on this, except I can't be gender specific in my bovine reference lest these people go crazy. According to the Purdue Owl Writing Guide, we are no longer allowed to refer to a congressman as a congressman, simply because the word includes the term man. You can no longer reference police and fire personnel as firemen or policemen. They specifically outlined biased language. I want you to look at these. This is amazing to me. They said this: avoid language that is stereotypical or biased in any way. Biased language frequently occurs with gender, but can also offend groups of people based on sexual orientation, ethnicity, here it comes, political interest, or race. Okay, man, I get it. Oops, I mean dude. Sorry, I meant person. I get it, person. So what do I do with bro? See, you white folks don't have to think about it. I have to go a little deeper than some of you. But what do I do with bro? See, because bro has familial as well as racial implications. What's up, brother? Does my sister get mad and sue me? Particularly if my sister is my former bro, who I'm not recognizing her transformation, right? And that has a double, cloud on it when you're black. What's up, sis? What's up, bro? Gender specific. I'm guessing in California, one can get arrested by referring to one's parents by their gender. Hey, father. Son, please do not call me father. We are a genderless society here in California. Whether it's your other my significant other who happens to be your other parental unit. I mean, can you imagine the conversations you have to have around these clowns? Wow. And what if a child, I guess it's still okay to say child. What if a child has two mothers and refers to one of his mothers as father? You think about that one. Yeah. I feel like Jeffrey Bardem in No Country for Good Men when he's leaving that thing and he's like, don't put that coin in the bucket with the other coins. That's your lucky coin. We got the added twist, folks, of asking to be called on, calling people by how they identify. You could walk up to some dude and say, hey, excuse me, sir. And you go, I don't feel like a sir, but you look like a sir. You built like a lumberjack. You got a beard that would make, Rasputin jealous. What are you talking about? You're not a sir. How will you know how a person identifies? Unless you've spoken to them, or, God forbid, you've called them by the wrong pronoun. Ma'am, excuse me. I'm not a ma'am. I've heard women go, I'll say, excuse me, miss, it's Mrs. And they show the big fat diamond ring. It's Mrs. Oh, sorry. Okay, Mrs. I mean, I've had those types of run-ins with people, which I find kind of interesting. Cause, I'm Mrs. Hey, look at my big fat ring. I've got a man. Somebody wanted to marry me. Okay, I get it. Are there going to be pronoun police? I'm just curious. What about hotlines for when somebody performs the egregious act of calling someone a sir or a him when it's a woman, huh? In the future, will you get arrested for the improper use of gender programs? It may not be as bad as you think, though. If you were to get arrested. Think about it this way. So you're an inmate, or an inmate, you go to jail, and an inmate says to you, so I'm in for murder. What about you? And you're the inmate, and you say, I'm in for asking a lesbian, sir, what time is it? Inmate that asks you the question goes, dang, dude, you are bad to the bone. See, you think that that's going to get you like beat up in prison. No, people will be like, dude, man, you did that? What? Son, that's big pimping right there. So she went through a few examples. Mankind, call it humanity, people, human beings. It still got man in it. I didn't figure that. Or she says man's achievements, an alternative is human achievements, man-made, synthetic. See, I have a problem with man-made because what if it is man-made? What if a dude made it? I don't want to give it to everybody. No, if it's man-made, I did it. Man hours, there needs to be staff hours. By the way, in that regard, we all know a woman hour is worth less than a man hour. One would think women would love to be included with man hour.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, Amerikanskis? Kevin Jackson here, exposing the secrets of the left. That's right, we're talking about secrecy today. In all secrets, there's a kind of guilt, however beautiful or joyful they may be, and for what good end they may be set to serve. Secrecy means evasion, and evasion means a problem to the moral mind. Gilbert Parker said that, and he's right. even if you're keeping a fun secret, there's still something bad about it. It may eventually make somebody happy, but there's a bad karma around it. I don't know how to describe it. I think you get what I'm saying. Talking about secrets, Barack Obama making secret, hey, I'm going to have this talk over at MIT, but I want it to be secret. I don't want anybody to record it. I talked about it on TV the other day, and they said, well, Kevin, in full disclosure, George Bush asked for somebody not to do a secret. And I went, well, it was wrong. George Bush says, I'm going to speak to a group of people. I don't want anybody to say anything about it. He's wrong. If I speak to a group of conservatives at a conservative event, it's recorded. I don't go in there and go, listen, guys, I'm going to be telling some secrets here about what I don't want done. You can record it. You can put it out to other people. The reason for that is because we should be very open with what we want to accomplish. Is what you want to accomplish right, or is it wrong? Because if it's right, it doesn't need to be a secret. If it's wrong, it can be a secret. It can be done behind closed doors. And look, I've already told you guys, I don't want to know everything about you. I get it. You got a wart on your tush, or maybe you got a tail. I don't know. But and some things I don't need to know. You can have your privacy. But when it comes to secrets, that's a little more dangerous. People equate patents with secrecy. Here's an interesting story. Patents were actually designed to overcome secrecy. That's why the formula for Coca-Cola was never patented. Are you aware of that? Coca-Cola's formula is a trade secret, and it's outlasted patents by more than 80 years. Had they patented it, it would be available after 17, I think. They say, no, it's a trade secret. It's the formula it's a recipe for us. We're not patenting it, because then people go, I'm going to look at the patent and I'm going to look at ways to overcome it. I'm going to, now you could reverse engineer Coke if you want. I don't know if Pepsi did that. I don't know if anybody, maybe that's what all the cola companies did. But they don't know the patent. They don't know how Coke did it, because Coke says, we're not going to explain that to you. Just know this. We have a trade secret. That's how they've kept it. They didn't look to, bind the idea around something. They just said, no, it's our thing. I don't know why I decided to flip that in there with the secret stuff. I just thought it was an interesting tidbit. We're living in a world where a guy like Barack Obama, one of the most secret people on the planet, said he was transparent, not transparent, became president saying he was going to open up a world of transparency, didn't, left the presidency, and he still doesn't want you to know what he's about. Who did he want to replace him? A woman who is full of secrets. If you knew all the stuff that Hillary Clinton did, you'd be scared to death of her. You probably already are, but it would be worse. She's full of secrets. Super secret server. Even people that worked with her said it was close to the vest. She didn't want outsiders. She was scared of communication and what people would say about her and things like this. She lived in a state of paranoia. Why? Because she's crooked to her rotten core. That's why. Donald Trump is a very much a contrast. The dude's like, I bet you if you hung out with Donald Trump at his house, like just hanging around, he'd be like, man, make yourself at home. If you need to do something, there's my office. You know how there are people that they will lock their office from you, keep you up. Donald Trump would be like, go, man, do your thing. My house, mi casa, su casa, right? Anyway, there's so much going on in the world right now. Donald Trump's going to be running for president again. He just, talked about his new, I didn't say he just, but he's talking about his new campaign manager. He announced it. Now, here's what was interesting. Trump, he did something early on. I can't recall how he did it, but it was a strategically great move for him to do this. He actually did things in such a way that he pre-announced his candidacy. So while the Democrats are going to be, jockeying for who they're going to run, Trump's candidacy is already there. So he's going to get equal time all the way through the political process. I thought, what a brilliant thing to do. He's already fundraising for his campaign. He's not, from the moment Donald Trump got elected, he started the fundraising apparatus and everything. I'm just telling you, it is absolute brilliance what this guy does, how far ahead he thinks. And he's a novice at this. I told Democrats the scariest thing for you, I've talked to a couple of them, I said the scariest thing for you guys is the fact that Donald Trump did as much as he did, accomplished as much as he did in his first year as president, and he doesn't even know his job yet. That is a rock star. That's like you getting the NBA drafting the top player in the league, but thinking he's going to have to sit a couple years on the bench, maybe be a utility player, and he comes in the game and he's Michael freaking Jordan in his prime right off the bench. You're going, whoa. That's what we're dealing with. That's how good this guy is. It's shocking. I mean, there's hardly an area that Trump's tackling that isn't, one, accomplishing the mission of what make America great again and America first, number one. And number two, putting the Democrats on absolute tilt. I don't have time in this segment, but when we come back, I want to play a couple things that have to do with immigration. And I want you to listen to these people talking about how bad it is in immigration. And who are they actually? These are Democrats, hardcore leftists. And when you're listening to it, let me tell you what you're going to be thinking. He's talking about the Democrats. They can no longer make Trump the demon of immigration. They can no longer make Trump the demon of Muslim resettlement, refugee resettlement. Or he has managed to take it all off the plate. The demons are the leftists, the anti-Trumpers, the anti-Americans, all the media. These are the people that we're now looking at going, y'all are all suspect. What an amazing thing to have accomplished. Anyway, we'll be back in just a bit. Folks, you're listening to Kevin Jackson.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The president was on this course. He pulled the legal rug from underneath the dreamers and then cloaked his position on immigration in an ethnocentric, pro-European, pro-white agenda that will hurt America.
Buenos dias, Americanos. That was Luis Gutierrez Says Trump ethnocentric, European centric. Trump only wants white people in America. Doggone it. That Trump is a terrible racist. He keeps lowering unemployment for blacks, lowering unemployment for Latinos. Man, they're going to take away his white nationalist card here pretty soon. Welcome back, America. Glad you guys are with me. KJRadio.com is where you can find more of the Kevin Jackson Show, and I hope you will. For the record, if you're relying on Facebook to get to us, done. Not going to happen. They're not letting it happen. These people are shutting us down. You better get signed up with us. Either go to kevinjackson.us or go to kjradio.com and get on our list, because I'm telling you, the left is shutting us down. I predicted it. And it's because of people like Luis Gutierrez, who has essentially, if he had his way, America would be brown. America would be Mexico. Let me put it this way to all the people listening. If Mexico was so good, we would want to be like Mexico. We would be like, man, bring on the Mexicans. Now, we've got a whole crop of them here. And they are Americans. I'm talking about the ones legitimately here, born here, immigrated here the right way. They are legitimately American. I don't see Mexican American any more than I see African American or Irish American or Russian American or whatever. But if you think that we're going to cede our country over to you the way California has, I'm talking to Luis Gutierrez, he's crazy. These people are certifiably crazy. I mean, let's play the rest of that clip.
But the racists, and we must call them out for what they are, the racists who are driving immigration policy in the White House are defining the agenda for every House Republican and are shaping the brand of the Republican Party, not just as the party opposed to illegal immigration, but now as the party opposed to legal immigration. Not just as the party who doesn't want poor or Latin American immigrants, but doesn't want brown or black or anyone who isn't white in this country.
You believe any of that? See, this is what I love about the left. They've lost on the idea of immigration. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. They've lost on this concept. Donald Trump has stolen this from them. You want to know why? Because it was never theirs to begin with. It wasn't to be stolen. The majority of conservative Americans, number one, we love immigrants. I don't know about you. I was doing a tour and I think he was Russian or Polish or something. He was from a Eastern Bloc country. And he came to the gun store where me and Joe the plumber were. And he said to me in this very thick accent, I left my job to come meet you guys. He goes, it was amazing to meet with you. He goes, I'm a member here at this gun club. He goes, I knew you guys were coming. I left my job. He goes, I wanted to thank you for what you're doing. He says, these crazy people that want to live the way I've lived my life, it is ridiculous. This guy was probably 30 years old. Y'all, guys, I'm telling you the honest to God truth. He was so American, so pro-America. I would trade this guy for all the leftists in this country in a New York minute. He talked about where he grew up, the confiscation of guns, how the government oppresses people. He went on. It was one of those things where it was like, why didn't I record him? God, was an amazing testimony. And he said, America, the way the left run it, it is headed for exactly what happened in his country. And he hadn't been there. He's probably been in America at the time about 5 years. He's been here probably 15 years now, and he's probably, I hope he's running for, city council or something else. It was, I'm just telling you, warmed my heart. And we have guys like Luis Gutierrez who wants people to believe that we don't like these folks. I love these immigrants. I have a buddy of mine who he's a Bosnian in St. Louis. He rehabs houses. Came to America practically penniless. He's a millionaire now. He's less than 35 years old. Came here and went right to work. I can buy this house for $40,000 in rehab and sell it for $200,000. Done. And he went to work, man. He does beautiful work. All he needed was a shot. And there are millions of stories like that. These immigrants come here, they see America for what it is. And then the left bring their groups. These are the ones that want to drop babies here, get on the public dole, essentially leech off of the American taxpayer. And the left love these guys. They accuse you of not liking them. Now, and what's funny, I don't know if you noticed this, Luis Gutierrez knows he can no longer win on the idea of illegal immigration. So what's he do? He lumps them in and says, oh, wait. They don't like legal either. So now Trump, who wants to legalize what? 1.6 million and 1.8 million DACA kids, which the left is now, oh, no, we don't get everything we want. And so now, come May 5th, boop, they start falling off, unprotected. And you know what Trump's doing? He says to Sessions and the Department of Justice, you go get these criminals off the street, daring the left to thwart him. Yeah, I dare you. Tell people you don't want these, you want these people to stay on the street, these criminals. You guys saw the story where this lady warned all these potential criminals in her city that ICE was coming. She should be arrested. Look, if there is justice in this country, that woman should be arrested. She should be kept in jail for a minimum of a year, maybe 2 years, and maybe that will discourage some of these other legislators from doing that. Federal government was exercising the law of the land, and this woman aids and abets MS-13 gang leaders and other criminals so that the people from ICE couldn't get them. How sick is that? How did she become a legislator in this country? And by the way, you better know there are people coming in behind her. She didn't do this willy-nilly. She did this because she has the support of the people there. What do you think that send? What sign does that send to the rest of the country? How long before do you recognize California now? Do you really see, do you look at them and you go, wow, what a great place to live and sane people and all this? These are people that will keep the streets unsafe, making them safe only for criminals while you suffer. These are people that say it's okay for somebody to give you a disease without you being pretty upset about it, a potentially life-altering disease. And this is a place that essentially says if you talk badly about somebody, give them the wrong pronoun, you could go to jail. If you shoot back at them, you could go to jail. You can't do it if you're a teacher. God forbid you actually want to protect students. You yourself, if you shoot back at them, they will probably get your house or your property. That's California. I don't know what to say about you guys in California. When are you going to wake up?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
It's fascinating to look at the possible landscape for this, Zach. When you go through people, Nate Silver, another Sosnick, also saying that they can easily see, for all of the grief that has been thrown at this president, they can easily see a scenario where he could win again.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think that's especially true, given that we know that the Russians are once again engaged in the campaign.
So you think it will be the Russians? If he wins again, it'll just be because it's those Russians involved again?
I think that the Russians played a significant role in electing him in 2016, and they're going to play a significant role in his campaign in 2020, which is why I think that Brad Parscale is such an interesting choice for this. I mean, he put together a digital campaign that was copied by the Russians. I mean, they did basically the exact same thing. They went in and targeted the same battleground states. They went in and targeted to suppress minority voters. They ran an ad campaign that reached 126 million Americans. It was a huge multi-million-dollar operation.
So it was exactly what you do in politics. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. 844-551-8255. That guy's name is Zach Petkanis. I debated him on Harris Faulkner's show that comes on. It used to be outnumbered afterwards or whatever. But anyway, they made it Harris's show. And I debated him one time when I was in New York. And he's a nice guy. But I mean, just crazy. But here's the deal. I'm actually going to try to debate him once a week. And I may even try to tour and debate him because I can't find many people that are willing to debate me. This guy, he's crazy. You know what's funny? As you listen to that, and earlier we played a soundbite from Luis Gutierrez. Sorry, I'm having trouble catching my breath. And it was like you listen to these guys and Trump is anti-immigration. He does not like Mexicans. He does not like this. And you're going, everything you just said is easily provable as a lie. That's how desperate it's become. The Democrats, that is. The Democrats are so used to saying something over and over and over and over and over, and they say it 100 times, and finally it starts to resonate, and it's never resonating. They've been calling Trump a racist now for the better part of 2 years. It isn't resonating. The judge who Trump and he had the run-in, he gave Trump the wall. So Democrats, they don't get it. They're like, this usually works. What's going on here? Who stole the funk? A friend of mine wrote a play once about a white dude who stole the funk from James Brown. And the white dude was going around the universe, hey! And James Brown was all, I can't find it, y'all. Somebody stole it. The Democrats can't get anything to stick. They can't get their base riled up over anything. You want to know why? Their base is too doggone happy. So you got the 2020 election, and I touched on it earlier. And I'm going to go back to it because Trump just made an announcement about who is going to be running his campaign. He's made another superstar. But this guy, Zach Petkanas, wants us to believe that in 2020, Trump will win again, but it'll be because of Russian interference. In case you haven't figured it out, the Democrats are never going to give up on the Russians until we have people in prison that were part of the Obama administration who colluded with the FBI, the Clinton campaign, the DNC, fake Russians, the Podesta group, and a host of other people. Until those people are in jail, nobody's going to drop the Russian investigation. Those are the talking points. Stick to it. Even these crazy, indicting 13 Russians, all these changes going on at Twitter and Facebook about Russian bots. I had a guy send me a message, F you, Russian bot website, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote a message back and said, hey, bonehead, this is a human site here. I don't know what you're doing. Then he writes me back and goes, oh, sorry, Kevin, I was getting all this Russian stuff. And I said, look, dude, that is nonsense. The idea that Russians are writing to us and trying to get us to do something to change our minds, that is not going to happen on a conservative, not anywhere in the United States. We know what we stand for. So if you buy into the Russian hoax, then they're winning. It is a hoax. It is not legit. There are no Russian bots. And by the way, everything that Zach described, well, they targeted black people for voter suppression. What that means translated in from Democrat, stupidese into regular talk is they went after the same demographic we did. And therefore, them going after it makes it, targeting and trying to suppress the voters because they're telling them the truth. But when we do it and we lie, meaning the Democrats, when they do it and they lie, well, that's just us talking to our base. They're spending lots of money in battleground states versus what? Spending money in red states? What do you think the Democrats did? Did they spend lots of money in California or lots of money in Massachusetts? Of course not. They got those locked down. They spent money in Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, South Carolina. And for the record, all those states should be blood red. Blood red. Here's what I can tell you. If you want to do a little thought exercise, take the big cities out of every state. You don't even have to take two. Like, for example, in Texas, you don't have to take Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, or Austin. Just take Houston or take Dallas out. If you're in Ohio, you don't need Cleveland and Toledo or Cleveland and Cincinnati. Just take Cincinnati. If you're in Illinois, take out Chicago. And if Chicago's too big, you could get away with 2 smaller ones, say like Springfield or what's right on the outskirts, Rockville, something like that. Probably not that, but certainly Springfield, the what they call it, the center, the heart of Chicago, capital. Take it out of Illinois, I should say. You're in New York, take out New York City. Oh, you don't want New York City? Okay, take out Rochester and one other. Anywhere there's a big college and university, and anywhere close to the popular. I mean, obviously New York's a big city, but you get what I'm saying, right? Take them out. You take those out, we are the reddest place on the planet. And by the way, the safest place on the planet. Take them out. But what do? We concede the cities. We don't even fight for them. We don't run candidates. We don't run opposition research. We do nothing. We concede the cities. We're looking into a project right now that's going to go after academia. Biggest project we've launched in my entire career that's going after academia. And I'm telling you, it's going to be eye-opening what you learn about all these different folks, all these different institutions and systems that are in place to stop you. So, Zach, he can come on here and talk about what the Republicans are doing. What does he think it's going to do? We are doing exactly what the left does. And the only thing is, President Trump does it better. He tapped Brad Parscale, the towering bearded political consultant described as a genius by the Washington Post, who's going to lead his 2020 re-election bid as a campaign manager. I started this story earlier and didn't finish because I went into what Trump had done to make sure that no matter what they say about him at election time, while the Democrats are still jockeying over who they want to be their candidate, Donald Trump will be getting equal time all across the board. He's got this guy already in 2018 looking ahead for the digital strategy and what he's going to do. And let me tell you, all Zach has to do is manage the back end. Donald Trump will manage Twitter. He will talk about his record. Because the media is not going to say anything about it. And he's just going to rely on us to help him. He's got it all. Remember when Barack Obama in 2012, when the race was up for 2012, he had a track record and it stunk. First 4 years of Obama were horrible. He'd increased the debt by well over $5 trillion. Unemployment was through the roof. Consumer confidence down. I think we'd lost our credit rating. It had gone down. We had the welfare rolls expanding, by millions. He couldn't bring jobs back. His foreign policy was a disaster of monumental proportions. He had scandal after scandal that he now says there weren't scandals. We had the VA. We had Benghazi by this time, right? We had the IRS scandal that had already been developing because that was the reason they were pressuring the conservatives we were putting too much pressure on them to not get Obama elected in 2012. So he sanctioned the IRS. He weaponized them against us. They were shutting down the media, on and on. Scandal after scandal. Even threatening to put journalists in jail. Fast and Furious. And he says everything was good. He had a good administration during that time. But now Donald Trump's got a stud, Pascal, top digital operations guru, back on the job.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177 or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Crazy world out there. Crazy world for lots of different conservative. You know what's cool about being a conservative is we don't think of ourselves as men or women or black or white. But I'm going to tell you, you go on the left and you find out the craziness of the world over there. Jeez. We talked earlier about Purdue University saying, man is bad. There's a university right now, I think it's the University of San Diego, that is saying they've got a class on how to impeach Trump. That's the I guess, like how to get away with, convicting an innocent man or something like that. So they've got a class dedicated to how to impeach the president of the United States. Can you imagine? I want to ask you this very simple question. Can you imagine a college or university doing that with Barack Obama as president? And he actually deserved it. Can you imagine? Let me tell you something. I think Obama's policies were the worst. I think he was the worst president in history. If a college or university, I don't care if it was Liberty or whatever, I'm talking about conservative universities, offered a class on how to impeach Barack Obama, and I believe most of us would be up in arms. We'd say that's a waste of our money, a waste of the money for parents who are sending their kids to school to study how to impeach this president. Now, if you want to do it on your own dime, that's one thing. But to do it as a curriculum, if it's a political science class, it says, let's figure out how to impeach president, a president in general, and we use Obama as our example, or Trump as an example, maybe. But from what I didn't read the story, but from what I hear, it's just yet again academia saying we don't care about conservatives. Jimmy Kimmel just said the other day, I think there's no limits to what you need to do to go after conservatives. No limits. Man, I tell you what, when these guys need us, and this is what I've always said this has been my mantra for life. When people are like, oh, Kevin, you think you're something. Because that's what, generally speaking, it's a leftist who will tell you something like that. Like you're doing okay in your career. And then somebody else will come up and go, yeah, man, you think you're something. No, not really. I'm just doing what I do. Nah, you think you all diddy, you all bourgeois, whatever. Let me tell you, almost to a person, when that's happened in my life, that person's needed me. That's right. They come back, hat in hand. You know what, Kev? I'm sorry, man, and I didn't realize this, the other, nah. And I just look at them and go, yeah, remind me what you said the last time we talked? I don't even pay attention to these clowns anymore. That's what the left does. They want to transfer guilt onto you. They can't be happy until you have been made to feel like they feel. That's what it's about. Anyway, I want to get through a couple things that we've been wanting to get through today. And one of them is I had played a clip from Luis Gutierrez, who called Trump an ethnocentric, essentially a racist, and essentially said all he likes is Europeans. He only wants people over here who are white, which I jokingly would tell anybody, if I ever have to get excommunicated from the United States to a country, it will not be a country of color where I go. I will go to a country that is dominated by white folks and let the chips fall where they may. Anyway, I wanted to play this other clip because Jorge Ramos, who's a journalist for Univision and a guy that just really likes to get on TV because he thinks he's hot, and maybe he is, looking. But here's what he had to say about immigration in the United States.
It's not easy to be an immigrant nowadays in the United States. Many immigrants feel that they
illegal are immigrant, Jorge. You mean illegal immigrant? You always do this, and it drives people nuts.
No,
illegal immigrant.
First of all, I don't call them illegal immigrants because no one is illegal in this world.
What
No
do they
one is
call them in
illegal.
Mexico?
They're simply undocumented immigrants. And the fact is that it is increasingly difficult to be an immigrant in this country. Donald Trump has made this a hostile, dangerous nation for many immigrants, undocumented and documented.
Latino unemployment is at a record low. It was 4.8% last month. That was the record low. Now it's 4.9%. That's not a good statistic for you. What do you want it at 2%? That would be nice. I'll take that too.
I think that's positive when it comes to economics. But how about if you're a family whose father or mother has been deported? How about if you're one of the people that the Trump government has arrested? The arrests in the Trump first year are 30% higher than in the last year of Barack Obama.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson, it's Kevin Jackson Show. I'd like to answer that question for Jorge, if you guys don't mind. But what it means, if you've been targeted by Donald Trump, you probably are a bad guy. The father who's been deported, you probably were dealing drugs. You're probably doing something illegal. You probably committed not only the crime, the immigration crime that you committed when you came over illegally and brought your children, your dreamers, but you've also committed some other crime. Donald Trump's been very selective about the initial phase of this immigration wave. And I think it's great. But I like that Laura Ingraham, corrects this guy and says illegal immigrant. And then you get to hear his take. His take is, I don't believe that there is any such thing as illegal. There's no illegal citizen around the world. What about Mexico? Well, they call them undocumented immigrants. No, they don't. They call them illegal. They put them in jail. Then they send them back across the border to El Salvador or wherever they came from Central America. They do not accept them. But Jorge doesn't want to talk about that. Laura Ingraham could have pressed him and said, well, hold on a minute. Let's look at what Mexico does and gone on. Was it good TV if she did that? I don't know, debatable. I would have watched it. But it bugs me that that's what these people do. All day long, they make up excuses. But what about the father that did this? What about the mother that did this? What about these that did this? Well, hey, Jorge, let me ask you this. What about the taxpayers who foot the bill? What about the person who loses the job? What about the kid who doesn't get that scholarship? What about the person who has to wait another hour in the hospital in agony because of the long line of other immigrants, and on and on and on? What about those consequences? They don't bring them up. And it's weird to me why they won't. Well, it's not weird. I know why. Anyway, I want to move on because this was an interesting case, and I want to play this clip. It's completely off the subject, but it goes on to show you more about leftism. Look at what gets blamed when a person is murdered, okay?
A defense team in Colorado is attempting to blame acne medication for the murder of a 20-year-old woman. The Longmont Times-Call says 15-year-old Aiden Von Grabo is accused of stabbing Michaela Grote to death with a hunting knife on November 18th. However, his attorneys are saying the acne drug Accutane played its own part in the murder. They're petitioning to call a psychiatrist as a witness at an upcoming hearing, who could testify that the drug can cause aggressive behavior. A judge did rule that the physician was not relevant. However, if the case goes to trial, it's possible he could still take the stand. Grabo also allegedly had a hit list and is facing charges of attempted murder for Grote's younger sister as well as 2 others.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Let me tell you, I didn't read that story. I saw the clip. I got had my producers get the audio, and I said, here's a perfect example of leftism throughout this entire story. You only heard a snippet of a story, and you heard leftism defined, described, drawn out. I mean, put in Braille. Everybody can understand it. Deaf people heard that. This is a crazy kid, made crazy by leftism. He goes out after, we're talking about probably indoctrinated in some school, got fixated, who knows, got no help, probably called the FBI, called the sheriff, said, I'm going to go kill people, said how he'd do it, put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pepigram, and all kind of grams, and then probably went out and got himself some drugs, certainly, what's it called, something cane that goes into his acne medicine, kills a young girl in the prime of her life, was plotting to kill others, and his lawyer says it was the zit medicine. That's what did it. Now, I'm going to tell you, having gone through puberty myself and been in military school with an all-boys school, I'm lucky to have survived it. I remember one of the Senator Mingdon, I went to school with his son. Senator Mingdon's son, I forget his first name because we call him Mingdon, but this dude had more zits, and he took pride in popping them in front of you. I mean, I'm not trying to get grotesque, but it was weird. But I can't imagine how his roommate may have felt knowing that this dude had that kind of the zit medicine he needed. So get this, folks. They're trying to use this as a legitimate excuse for a kid committing a murder, stabbing a young girl to death, and potentially stabbing others to death. If this isn't Kennedy-esque, I don't know what is. Don't be surprised if this kid grows up to be a senator from Massachusetts one day.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.